Good evening, everyone, or good morning, wherever it is, whatever it is where you are in the world. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Motivation Theory Run Club live hangout. This is episode 22. I believe so, if I'm counting correctly. I believe it's 22. It's good to have all of you. Happy Tuesday. Or Wednesday if you're in Australia, right? I can never get that straight. It's good to see you, Frank. Frank is in here. Frank says, I missed what's going on in the Kafuzi chat. What was the deal with the metronomes? Okay. Since we're just kicking it off, I'll go ahead and answer this. So we were just in the Kafuzi live chat, and there was a part where somebody brought up somebody running with a metronome, and I told very briefly in the chat the story about one year. Oh, hold on. Let's switch over to the cam. There we go. Now you can see me. What's going on, everybody? How are you? Let me switch back over here to the screen so I can see. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? We should be good now. So, welcome to the stream, everyone. My name is John, and this is Motivation Theory Running. There I am. And this is the Motivation Theory Run Club. This is episode 22. And Frank asked, Frank said, I missed what was going on in the Kafuzi chat. What was the deal with the metronomes? Well, the issue, there wasn't an issue. So I think somebody brought up the metronome, somebody running with the metronome. And then I told the story of one year I was running the Marine Corps Marathon, and there was a lady that was running near me with a metronome app or something. And it was making a metronome sound clicking. I guess she was trying to keep her cadence to a certain pace, and it was loud. I mean, you could hear it within 20 feet of her, and I kept trying to get away from her. And I would run harder to get away, and then eventually, an aid station would happen, and then we'd catch back up. So I was leapfrogging and had this metronome for many, many miles. And finally, I think we broke away from each other. I'm not sure what happened, but oh my gosh, it was annoying. And I explained it was like, it would have been good if it was running at my pace, and I kind of got into it. But it was like if you're counting, and someone's just saying a bunch of random numbers over top of your counting. That's what it was like running. It's very bizarre. It bothers me. I don't like repetitive sounds. So that was extremely annoying to me. So that's all it was. So welcome to the chat. Frank, Tim, Recycle on Wednesdays. How's it going? I saw some of you guys over in Kafuzi's live chat. Sometimes I get caught up in listening to his live chat, watching that, and then I don't get down here to my studio and get set up in time. Then I'm rushed. And then I do things like not plug my microphone in. Like last week, I didn't realize I plugged my microphone here in after I started the software, which it just defaults to the camera microphone, so you could hardly hear me, or at least the replay was not as quality as I had hoped. So that was disappointing. And this week I forgot to switch over in the software what screen we're on. So it's always something with me. It's hard when you're running these productions all by yourself. And I would show you if I have a camera, but I have the lights and a stand with a separate webcam on it, my laptop. I have crates piled up here. It's a whole thing. Frank asks, was it too fast or too slow? I don't remember it. I don't remember what it was. But even if it's off, so like if I'm running at like, at marathon pace, I'm probably coming closer to the 180, 170, between 170 and 180, and somebody's running at 165. Even if it's off like that much, it was enough to cause issues. I can't really remember if it was too fast. I just know that it was off. I remember that. It's probably been 6 years since that happened. Recycling Wednesday say I would have to find a window to throw myself out of. Exactly. It was rough. Because there was a lot of us around here. Obviously we weren't talking about it, but it had to have bothered other people. It's very weird. It's the only time in all the years that I've been running that I've ever come across someone doing that before. I've come across people with music, and I can handle somebody else playing music. That doesn't bother me too badly. I do remember one year that There a lot of races don't allow earbuds or music in your ears because you can't hear when people are yelling from behind. In most marathons, there's the cyclists that are there also, and they have to yell people on your left, behind you, on your right, all kinds of stuff like that. And I remember one year getting ready to go through, was it the I can't remember if it was the Blue Mile, whatever it was around mile 13, Marine Corps Marathon. There was a lady that was cycling, and she was coming up behind somebody, and it gets really crowded around the street there, and they were screaming for them to get out of the way, and they wouldn't. So she was cussing up a storm. People were like screaming, waving. So the headphones. So that's probably the most awkward thing I've ever seen in a race, because they were upset, very upset. Welcome, Tim. Welcome, Kelly. Hola. Hola. Exactly. Hello. Kelly is in the house early tonight. Let's get this party started then. So, you guys have all seen that I have a live race coming, and I'm super excited about that. And I'm sorry for all of those of you who are going to get bored with hearing my updates, but I'm excited, and I'm going to be chronicling my stuff, my workouts and stuff that's going through, and kind of how I'm feeling. Some of you are probably bored with hearing that, but I think it's interesting for those of you who have never run an ultra marathon, kind of how someone may come in, I don't want to say maybe slightly undertrained, but not trained in the way in which you think. I think ultras get this kind of mystery around them. Like, people think they're unattainable, and they think that you have to run these ridiculously large amounts of miles to be able to ever even have a chance of finishing one. And I felt the same way before my first ultra marathon. So we have a large group of people here on this channel, from people who've never run, new runners, people who want to run ultras, and people who've been experienced runners for a long time and been running ultras a long time. So there's a huge spectrum. And so what I've tried to do over the years that I've had this channel is kind of demystify the ultra, have respect for it, but don't put it in a category of something that you think only like super athletes can do, because it's not true. And you can do them under less mileage than most people think. Not that I advise people go in undertrained, but I've been training for the last 8 months, and I've been stringing together 8 and 10 mile back-to-back runs and things like that. So I've got enough base. I've run ultras enough in my life. It doesn't scare me. A large part of ultras is the mental side, and once you've done them, you no longer fear them in the same way as you did before doing them. So I'm a lot more confident now. And I know that over the next 4 weeks, I can get myself kind of squared away to even do it. Am I going to be in the best shape I've ever been in? No, but I think I'm going to do fine. So that's what the topic is today. Is I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about why ultramarathons are more accessible than people think, and are they really as hard as you think? Now, again, that's a spectrum too. Badwater, 135 miles through Death Valley. Is that hard? Absolutely. Is it ever easy? Nope. But doing a 50K or a 50 miler, those are all really attainable ultras that you can do if you have enough base, and you can do them. It's just putting one foot in front of the other. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Let me go back into the chat. Frank said, I remember there was a turkey trot with a dude smoking. I wasn't ready for that. Smoking pot as he ran. Luckily, I was way ahead of him. But I would have been pissed if I was close. Can you imagine being beat by a guy who's just running on the race ahead of you, smoking a joint, and you can't catch him? That's funny. That always bothers me when I see, not that it matters that they wear costumes, but like when I see people running costumes and like marathons in costumes and 10Ks in costumes, and like they're running near you, that makes me mad, because it makes it feel like they're joking around and yet they're still with you. But there's fast people that do that too, so it's not always a bad thing, but it's funny. Welcome to the chat, Toby's GoPro. Welcome, Alberto. Frozen, has it happened to you too as well? I guess I have to catch up. I don't know what that is. Toby said, "Que paso, amigo? Excited about your live race? Absolutely, that's awesome. Thank you. I'm super excited too." Alberti said, "Frozen. Has it happened to you as well? Is the stream frozen? Because that has happened. I don't know. Or are you talking about costume? Someone wearing a Frozen costume?" Welcome, Positor 2, to the chat. It says hello all. Positor's leading. Last I checked, Positor's leading the run club right now. Let me check if it's still there. Let me go check. Killing it so far this week. So we go down here. Yeah, Positor's 20.9 miles already this week. 4 runs. Leading the pack this week. So congrats on that so far on Tuesday, Positor. I like that. Good to see. So I'm not frozen. That's good. Is Frank sleeping on this one? He's going to jump ahead. Or is he taking a light this week? Today's going to be my first run of the week. I took off Monday as a rest day. I ran 20 miles on Sunday, so Monday was my rest day. It was actually very hard for me not to run yesterday. I forced myself. I felt great yesterday. I felt like I could have gone and run like an 8 or 10 miler yesterday. So that's a good sign. Kelly said, "Smoking pot while running." Man, I'm slow enough. That's funny. Yeah, I can't imagine doing that. Welcome everyone. Welcome Arlene. Welcome Joe. It's good to see all of you. Happy Tuesday or Wednesday. Positive 2 said, "Fresh from recovery last week." Yeah, you're killing it so far this week. Killing it. Tell you what, that run on Sunday, my 20 miler was shocking. You know, I don't know, for those of you who were around when I ran the 50K on the treadmill. Granted, it's a treadmill, and I didn't push really hard on the pace, and it's on a treadmill. I was shockingly not sore after it. Like, I didn't feel like I had in the past when I've run ultras. It felt fine. Like Sunday, I ran easy. So I think that's a good sign of my fitness right now. Been running a ton of hills, a lot of miles on the hills and heat. So I think it helped. It just kind of showed my fitness is dialed in a little bit. So I was actually very, very happy with that long run yesterday. So I'm trying to catch up right now, make sure I'm not missing anybody. Arlene M said, "I now, being older, think a 50K with a long cutoff is easier than a fast, hard 10K. I can slog out a distance better than I run fast." Yeah, and so that's one of the points that I'm going to kind of be going over when I start talking about demystifying ultras, that, you know, one of the main things you do in an ultra, and I might as well just jump into it, is you slow down. And I don't think a lot of people take into account how much that helps. Like, people who go out and run a 5 or 10K or have done a half marathon at some point, or maybe even a marathon, and they think about running 50 miles or 100 miles, they don't really think about, like, how you're not out there running the paces of a 10K. At least most of us are not. How much easier that is on your body. Now, running 50 miles is not easy. I would never put it on the shelf and say that's something that's easy, but it's not running at the same pace as a 10K. So people just try to multiply that, like, well, you know, in a 10K, it hurt this much, so you got to multiply that by 3, and that's like a 50K. Well, no, it's not the same. It's a completely different race. So slowing down definitely makes it a lot more attainable. Kelly said, "Solid run, Posner. Amazing heart rate." I didn't check heart rates. You guys are always digging into people's heart rates. I never do that. I should start doing that. I might start digging into everybody's heart rates. I post mine just for... I always talk about transparency when it comes to training. I post that so people can see. I'm trying to be as transparent as possible with my training. I hope you all appreciate that aspect of me doing that. Joe Kern said, "Hello all, approaching the trail, headed out." You're always going out on the trail during the live stream. You need to have like a mobile rig so you can join in. 53 days till the big one. Dialing it up, baby. Have a great week all. Well, have a good run, Joe. We're all rooting for you, man. Have a good. And I wish I was out on the trails running right now. Sounds exciting. It's always exciting going on the trail. I get excited every single time. Kelly said, "Me too, Arlene. Though I haven't run close to 50K yet, I've hiked it, so hopefully." Kelly, you can do it. Come on. Go ahead and do it already. Tim Hugo said, "Hi, Joe." Arlene M says, "Kelly, the secret to running ultras is to walk a lot." Absolutely. There's a fair amount of walking in an ultra. I think that is another aspect that people don't understand. So, one of the main aspects of running ultras that makes it a lot more consumable than or easy to take on is usually the places where it's great atmosphere, it's great scenery. There's a difference between running 10 miles on a road around your neighborhood than 10 miles on the trails. It just seems to go by much quicker. So that aspect makes it easier. You're eating a lot more in an ultra, and that helps you with the fueling aspect. As Arlene said, one of the main things is slowing down. You're slowing down, and that makes it a lot more easy to finish. And there's walking. And so again, most people think, I've run a 5K or I've run a 10K, so I can't imagine running, I ran an hour, I can't imagine running 12 hours. Well, you're not running the entire time. Not that doesn't make it easy, but most of us mere mortals have to walk in an ultra to make them finishable. And I think it's encouraged. I think even the top ultramarathon runners will tell you they'll walk a large amount of these, whether or not they're uphill or downhill. They're walking. I forget an article I just read where there was somebody who had won one. It was a top ultramarathoner that said they ran one recently. They estimated they walked 40% of it, and I think it was a 100-miler, but still that's a significant amount. Kelly says, "Joe Kern, my steel trap mind. What's your big challenge coming up again?" So October 10th, Joe has his first attempt at a 100-miler. So we're all rooting on Joe as part of the Motivation Theory Run Club. I think he's the only one that I know of right now that's coming up on a 100-miler. Mine's going to be a 12-hour and September 19th, so I won't come anywhere near that. I'd be lucky. I'll be happy if I can get to 50 in this particular race, just because of the elevation profile in this interloopal race that I'm going to be in. I think I can do it. I'm going to be pushing as hard as I can to do that, but nowhere near 100 milers. So Joe has got a huge task ahead of him. He's been training hard, and we'll be rooting you on, Joe. You can say you got 50, 54, 53 days. It's going to be awesome. Kelly said, "I'm always checking out heart rate because mine is so bad." I told you, Kelly, I think yours is wrong. From at least what you told me, it sounds like it could be off. I would get like another heart rate monitor or watch or something and test it. Posner 2 says, "What's the average mileages that you guys retire your shoes? I know different shoes will hold up different mileages. Just curious on the average mileage." So for me, so everybody type in the chat what you think your average mileage is. For me, it's right around 300 miles is when I start to feel a shoe crush out. Long before it looks bad, long before there's really any significant wear and tear on the shoe, my shoe will be crushed out. I'm a larger runner, so you guys know I'm almost 6'1". I'm 210 pounds right now. I'm fluctuating between 208 and 210. I need to be down to 190. That's my racing weight. So shoes only last about 300 miles with me, and I think most of my mileages over the years have been in Mizuno shoes. But I see the same come out of all these shoes that are behind me. I see them holding up. They're probably gonna hold up around the same amount. The only one I'm interested in is how the Hoka One Speed Goat 4. I'd like to see how much that is going to, how long that's going to hold out before I can't wear it anymore. Kelly said, awesome, Joe. Have a great run. Want to hear about your training next week. Yeah, you have to tell us about it. Frank gets 350 miles-ish. Kelly said, Positor, honestly, mine fall apart because my trails are rough and I'm clumsy. I rarely hit 250 to 300 miles. Yeah, trails will tear your shoes up. Now, when I used to wear street shoes, I used to wear a lot of the Inspire series years ago on the trails too. I just didn't invest a lot of money in trail shoes. I just ran in the shoes that I had. It would tear them up a lot. But my shoes, again, the crushing out is the aspect of the shoe that is considered wore out to me, because it will hurt. I can immediately feel when I come back. I can feel the medial sides of my knee will ache. I know immediately that it's just my shoe is getting crushed out. It's always right around 300 miles. It's kind of strange that it happens so closely to the same amount of mileage every time. Arlene M says, you run picnic to picnic in most ultras. Yeah, so one of my favorite sayings is ultras are eating contests with running in the middle. And that's quite honestly pretty accurate. I know in the 24-hour interlupal race, they have a set of tables, picnic tables, probably 4 picnic tables, and the whole thing is filled with food. And they refresh it throughout the day, where people kind of volunteer to make different foods, and you could just stand there. And so if you've ever gone out there and looked, like I go back and look at my times, like, and it looks slow for each loop, but it's because people are spending a lot of time. And I think Frank even noticed, like, sometimes you see some of those folks are a lot slower than you would see in other ultras, but these interlupals, people are spending a lot of time at the aid station, at the what would you call that? It's kind of the pit stop, the main aid station for the loop. People just kind of hang out there, and they'll talk, eat. They have a fireplace. I mean, I've seen people kick up their feet, have a beer, during the race, warm their feet by the fire, and just hang out for a little bit, and then hop back onto the course. I've done it for quite a bit. My family will come. I'll sit there and eat and chat with them for 20 or 30 minutes, and then hop back on the course. Really significantly slows your time now. So part of my strategy for the 12-hour coming up is I'm going to limit the amount of time I'm going to do in there. I'm going to be devoting everything to fueling on the run and getting as much time on the trail as I can. I completely lost what I was even talking about. Oh yeah, the eating contest with running in the middle. Positive 2 said, I need to get back on the trails. Street running too much. Yeah, I've been getting burnt out on street. I got completely burnt out on the treadmill, which has never happened to me. I leverage the treadmill a lot. I'm just used to doing it, but I can't deal with it now. It's just completely like torture. As you guys can see, I went and ran 20 miles in the pouring cold rain over even thinking about running on that. And you guys, Frank said, what shoes are you wearing, Kelly, that die so fast? I think the way people run, the terrain they run on, and their weight probably have a lot to do with it. How quickly, like when you look at Seth James Moore, I think he's kind of a waif of a guy, super fast, super small and light. I definitely don't think he wears a shoe out as quickly as I do. But he also runs twice as fast. So maybe he's spending less time on the shoe, and that's why it extends the life. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm larger and slower. The reason my shoes wear out is because I'm spending more time on my feet. I don't know. I do know that I got more. I feel like my shoes lasted longer when I rotated 2 to 3 pairs. So that was something I think I've talked about in videos in the past. Kind of to extend the life of your shoes is to rotate 2 to 3 pairs. Not everybody can do that because it's expensive, but I would do that because of the crush out in the shoe. Usually I've read it takes 24 hours for a shoe to completely decompress from being run in. So if you run a long run, it takes at least 24 hours or more for that shoe to get back to normal. So I think if you're constantly running on a shoe and it's never getting a chance to fully go back all the way up, it could affect the life of the shoe. That's just my theory. Joe said, I need to start running. I need to start using Tuesday as a rest day so I quit missing the shows. Yeah, exactly. Everyone should adjust their training schedule. No, don't do that. But it would be nice to have you, but I know how hard it is to adjust schedules. Oh, just a reminder, if you're in here, please smash that like button for me. I'd appreciate it. And I appreciate you saying you appreciate them, Joe. Ponzer 2 said, at Frank, thanks. I'm coming up on 300 miles and started to feel a decline in the foam. Yeah, the funny thing with me is I always come back from a run. I can't even talk. I come back from a run literally with my knees hurting because of it. It's not even like a slight thing. It's like I have a fine run, and then the next run that it wears out, I come back and my knees hurt. It's like I can't even start to feel it. It just happens. And then they become my walking around shoes, and then they become my walking around. After they're done with my walking around shoes, they're becoming my mowing the lawn shoes. They have a long life. I probably get 500 to 600, 700 miles out of my shoes completely at the entire life of them. Frank said those Cliftons have a reputation for not lasting long. I've heard that. Tim Hugo said he gets 350 miles to 400 miles out. That's pretty good. That's decent. Kelly said, Hoka's mainly. My trails are extremely rocky, which wears the tread down. And I kick sticks and roots all the time. Yeah, I feel you. Hey, Goku Runner gets 300-ish. Welcome to the stream. Goku, you're a larger runner too, so do you feel that your size or your weight affects the life of the shoe? I always felt that's probably the largest part of the decline of is just me being a larger runner. I think if I was like 130 pounds, my shoes would last a lot longer. I don't know. I don't know why. I mean, it just seems like it's common sense, but that's probably, I don't know if that's true or not. Kelly said, Arlene, now I know I'm on the right track. Picnic to picnic. Yeah, see, if you haven't run an ultra yet, just think of it as you're running smaller races between buffets. And it's all fixed. You can do it all day long. Just run and eat. Kelly said, I believe it, Frank. Hoka's for me are so darn comfy, and the trail ones have such great grip. Yeah, I absolutely love the grip of the Hoka, especially the Speedgoat 4, the grip on the trails. I feel like I could just run as hard as I can without even having to worry about it. Joe Kern said, I get about 500 on a pair of shoes, probably too much, but I like them broken. And that's good. If you can get 500 miles out of your shoe without them hurting you, more power to you. That's awesome. I mean, it saves money. I mean, it's going to be hard for me to get 500 in a pair of shoes just because I run in so many different shoes now. I'm spreading it out all the time. And I'm actually kind of surprised when I go and check my shoes and what mileage that they're at. 'Cause sometimes I think it's the Horizon 4 that I was shocked that I passed 100 miles. Like, I don't remember passing 100 miles in it. It's weird. Alberto said the bad thing about walking during ultras is to be cut off by the organization due to time constraints. Yeah, so I mean, walking isn't failure in an ultra. Walking is a strategy. So you have to take into consideration the time cutoff. So if you're going into a race, let's just say, for instance, like a 50 miler, and you know that you have to be done by 12 hours. You have to maintain, somebody correct my math here, I'm just on the fly here, I think that's roughly 13:30. Is that right? 13 minutes, 30 seconds or something for a 12-hour 50. Like, whatever it is, whatever the cutoff is you have to know that you have to maintain a certain pace. And then you have to go look at the cutoff. So most races will tell you, and I think all of them will tell you what the cutoffs are at certain areas. You just need to know you have to maintain the pace to make that cutoff. Walking is a strategy. What typically we'll do people will do when they're new to an ultra is they'll start off too hard because they're so worried about the cutoffs, not understanding that you're ultimately putting yourself in harm's way if you're not fully trained to run at that pace. So people will take off, a minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes faster than they should, worrying about the cutoffs. You burn yourself out really early in the race, and then you're having to walk. You're being forced to walk. There's a difference between being forced to walk and using walking as a strategy. When you're forced to walk, you start to run into those issues with the cutoffs. The cutoffs should be part of your plan. Walking should be part of your plan, and it's not a problem if you do it that way. Kelly said, Alberto, that's my biggest fear. All the training and money and getting cut off. Yeah, I think most people that are running for the first time are worried about it. I remember being in my first couple of ultras, I was a little worried. Sometimes your brain just starts getting fuzzy and you're doing the math in your head and you start worrying about cutoffs. Just pay attention to them. You plan. So before every race, I go through all the cutoff times. I write everything down. I write out my goal pace. I know what I'm going to try to maintain. I know how much I'm going to walk at the beginning. Because again, walking early helps you at the end. Don't get forced to walk. Now it's going to happen. You're going to get pushed where you have to walk at some point. It's like walking up a hill or you just take a break. But just realize walking is a part of your strategy. And if you don't make it part of your strategy, it's going to happen to you regardless. And therefore, you're going to be walking a lot more towards the end when cutoffs are a little bit harder to hit when you're tired. So I know I keep going back to that, but I just read the comment. I brought it up again. Goku says, "What up, Kelly and everyone else?" Yeah, Frank said, but Kelly is talking about the outsole wearing out rather than the midsole. Yeah. I'll probably wear an outsole out before I don't know. I think the outsole wears out a lot more for me on the roads than it would on the trail. Alberto says, "Yep, Kelly." Kelly said, Frank, definitely. They turn into barn shoes because they still feel comfy, but the tread is fine and the overlay's peeling. Recycle on Wednesday says, hello, Goku Runner. Goku said, for sure, I agree the weight kills shoes faster. Goku Runner says, my one ultra vid, people were like, I don't know how this guy can eat so much. That's funny. Yeah, and if you haven't run an ultra, so again, the whole topic of this was really talking about, are ultras really that hard? And again, I've spent years on this channel trying to demystify ultras. I want people to have a healthy respect for them. I want people to train for them properly and do them in the correct way. But once you have a base and you've run many of them, it's not as scary, and you know what you can get away with. Just like I know what I can get away with now, training-wise. I mean, I think after a couple years of running ultras, I know that I could actually run a 50-miler on minimum, 30 miles a week. I'd still do my long runs. I'd still do my back-to-back runs, but I could get away with it. It's not the most comfortable thing. It's not ideal, but you could still do it. Ultras are a large part. They're just as much mental as they are physical. And that's the part that I think people underestimate, is if you're an extremely tough individual, you have the mental fortitude to push through things, you could do one. I mean, you look at Goggins, when he said he did his first 100-miler, he was completely overweight, not trained, and he did the whole thing with breaking his feet, and did it because he was mentally tough, not because he was in shape. Ultras are that. There are times, if you can't fight the inner voice in your head that says you need to quit, you can't do it. If you don't have the ability to push through things that are extremely hard, you probably won't be able to finish an ultra, because you're going to go through the pain cave. You're going to go through times that are going to suck. And as long as you know that it's going to come and you can push through it and quiet that voice telling you to quit, that you're dying. If you can't quiet that voice, it's going to be even harder to finish. I think sometimes when people drop, it's because that voice becomes too loud and they just can't fight it off. Believe me, I think anybody who's run an ultra has come across that time where you're just like, you don't want to push on anymore. You're done. And even after finishing saying, I'm never doing that again, and within an hour, you're like, oh, I'm doing that again. But there's always that time. There's always that time. Positive 2 said, yeah, Hoka Clifton 6s is what I'm mainly running in. John. All right, so now we got to start over. John's here. He says, hi, guys. What have I missed? You've missed everything, John. We're talking about everything right now, just like always. But we're talking a little bit about how ultras are not as hard as people make them out to be, that they are reachable by mere mortals, and that if you haven't done one, you should consider it, especially if you're a runner. Don't be scared. Jump in the deep end and get it over with. And then it just makes it that much easier. Goku Runner said YouTube shoe reviewer problems. Exactly. I got too many shoes to run in. It's a huge problem. Kelly said, I did hear 24 to 48 hours for the foam to recover. Absolutely. That's kind of what I see. And I rotate my shoes quite often just for that fact. And it feels good to switch your feet into different shoes. I love a fresh pair of shoes. I used to hate the feeling of a brand new pair of shoes. I always liked them running about 50 miles is when the shoe really started to feel good. But now people are getting better at making these shoes that they don't really have a break-in time. Actually, I put on the Wave Rider 24s. I got a new pair of those Mizuno sent me, and they feel like they need a break-in time. They feel like they need at least 20 to 30 miles to break them in. It's kind of like how the old Wave Inspires used to feel. Feel a little stiff. Hey, West Virginia running. Don is here. Good to see you, Don. Welcome to the stream. He says, good evening, gang. Recycle on Wednesday said, do people ever walk the whole way? I don't know. I don't think you'd be able to make the cutoff. So I think some of the cutoffs I've seen would probably be an average of maybe 14.5 minutes per mile on average. So could someone walk that? Yeah, but walking 50 miles like that, I think would actually be harder than running some. So I don't think there's anybody walking an entire ultra unless they're speed walkers. I don't think so. There's at a point where you're walking so hard that you might as well, running would be more efficient and easier. And I think I did a video not too long ago where I talk about walking. Yeah, I did. Walking in ultras and how it is a tactic, it is a strategy, and then there's actually a way to train for it. You should be training to walk more power hike, because power hiking is a skill. It's not just walking like the Olympics, speed walking. It's not just that. There is an efficiency to it. So, I mean, there are ultra marathoners that have studied the speed walking events and how efficient they are and tried to incorporate some of that. It looks goofy, but the more that you're efficient, just the better off you're going to be in an ultra. So, practicing walking, I do it. I go out to the trails. You guys see, I'm not out there trying to post a personal best every time I go out and run. I'm trying things. I'm walking. I'm power hiking hills. I'm finding more efficient ways to do things, because all of that adds up. It all adds up. Arlene M said, I wore Speedgoat 2s during a very muddy 50 mile in February. They were so muddy and dirty, I just threw them away at the end. That's funny. I don't think I've ever thrown away shoes because they've gotten so dirty. That's funny, though. Frank said, I don't have any trouble getting 300 miles out of an outsole on ultras or Salmons. Are you spending most of your time off trail? To Kelly. Goku Runner said, walking a certain pace sounds easy until you go out there and try to do 50 miles. Yeah. I always find it funny because I'll go through the comments on ultra marathon videos and things like that. And there's always kind of the jerk that's out there. It says, who are you guys fooling? you guys know you walk, so how are you out here trying to act like you run 50 miles or 100 miles? And I always, and there's one that I get responses on because I actually responded them saying, you know, is this from your vast amount of experience? Because if you've ever run an ultra marathon, you know that walking is essential to it, that it is a strategy and a part of it. And I don't think anybody that's run an ultra has ever claimed that they've never walked in one. So that ultra marathon, the mystique and challenge to an ultra marathon isn't running, saying I ran the whole time. And I think that's a misunderstanding for someone. Someone thinks I ran the whole time, because I think it's the mentality of non-runners to think success is based around just running an entire, like I ran a whole 5K without walking, or I ran 1 mile without walking. So they think when you transfer that to an ultra, it's like, well, I ran an ultra without walking. That's not the cool part of it. The cool part of it is I ran 50 miles. I traveled from point A to point B. It was 50 miles through the mountains. I got to do all this. I got to make friends. I got to see beautiful sights. And I got to spend the day in the wilderness and nature. And I propelled myself with nothing other than my 2 feet. That's the cool part about an ultra, not saying I ran the entire time and didn't walk. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Rambling on. And you guys should be proud. I'm not even doing happy hour tonight. This is just flavored water because I have to cut some pounds. So I'm having to cut weight for the 12-hour race. Goku Runner, you're right. It sounds really easy. Like, well, I could definitely walk that. And so if you watch my one of my funny videos where I talk about where I've actually had people say, well, if I could walk, it would be easy. You know, thinking running 50 miles is fine. If you can walk, then I can do that. Until you have to do it. Kelly said, Frank, no. On trail, but New Hampshire trails are brutal. One lady from North Carolina wrote a letter to a magazine saying we should be ashamed and groom our trails better. That's funny. I've heard people from out west in the United States talk about like East Coast mountains. Like, so we don't have, 10,000 foot mountains or 12,000 or 15,000 mountains. We don't have those size. I think the highest one, and I think I've told you in Virginia, it's like 4,500, under 5,000. But our trails are extremely steep and rocky. We have really extremely steep switchbacks, and so you'll go, 12 or 2,000 feet within a half a mile. It just goes straight up. So it's a lot different. It's funny the different terrains that people have to deal with. John said, I have done over 900 kilometers in my Asics, and they are still okay. Holy smokes. Well-built shoe. Kelly said, oh God, John's going metric. Just kidding. I have to convert that. 900K. I'm not even trying to attempt it in my brain. Recycle on Wednesday said, I don't really get visible wear on the outsoles on any of my shoes, not even daily shoes. Yeah, I don't get it as much anymore. When I first started running, I would wear out the forefoot of the shoe where I would land. Because when I first started running, having grown up as being a sprinter, I ran on my toes more, and I've since dialed that back to midfoot, so I don't wear my shoes out as much anymore. Plus, I'm not running 6-minute miles, so I'm not up on my toes a whole lot. So it seems to not wear my outsoles out very much. Alberto says, bye guys, nice chatting with you. Hey, it's great to have you, Alberto. Oh, going to work, have fun at work. We'll see you next Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Hold on. I just read it. Read ahead. Arlene M said Kennedy 50 miler February has an 18-hour time cutoff. The first 3 finishers were walkers. Holy smokes. That sounds scary though. If they have an 18-hour cutoff, is there a reason why? Is it a super hard course? Goku Runner asks, do you think poles are cheater sticks? I have never run with poles yet, and I'm thinking about doing it unless the race says you can't. I know some races don't allow you to, and I've always wondered that because I think some people think of them as cheater sticks. I don't care as long. I mean, it's part of hiking to me. I think if you can, I mean, I don't know why that would be considered cheater sticks. I think it's funny. I'm actually going to try them. I'm going to start training with them, and I don't know if they're allowed in the race, but I don't see anything that I'm getting ready to do. I've never used them before, but I want to because there's a lot of hill hiking. I'd like to be able to take some of the wear and tear off the top of my quads or my glutes. Kelly said, recycle on Wednesday. Kelly said, recycle. Honestly, if there's something, anything in the trail, I'm kicking it. Maybe twice I booted it in front of me. You got to pick your feet up, Kelly. There's nothing worse than catching a toe. And most of the time when I catch a toe, it's not on something that's loose. I remember in the JFK 50, it was either the first or second year I ran it, I was on the AT. And there's one part of the Appalachian Trail there that has a bunch of rocks. It's like people planted them. So they're like rocks that stick out 2 and 3 inches for no good reason. I'm not sure why. Anything was designed that way. Even by accident. Even by nature standards. I don't understand it. So it's like running and it's like twisting your ankles. And I was hauling. I was just running through there like an idiot. And I caught one. And it hurt more that I didn't fall. Because I was like, you know, my arms were flailing down the trail. Pulled every muscle. It was one of those things when I was done with the kind of the spaz out, controlling my body without, so I didn't kill myself on the rocks that were sticking up. Every part of my body hurt just from that. So typically when I catch a toe, it's on something that is completely not movable. It'd be nice to catch my toe on a stick that moved. You know it's bad when people look at you and you've almost fallen and they still say ow. That just shows you how bad you look like you hurt when you almost fell. Recycle it Wednesday said, oh wait, so Kelly said, I'm really curious about polls. Does anyone here use them? Well, I'm going to be. I wish somebody would send me polls. I need to start talking about polls more so I can have somebody send me some polls. I almost pulled the trigger and bought some a couple weeks ago. Actually, a couple weeks ago, 6 months ago when I bought my watch. Ponzer2 said, I'm skipping ahead. Recycle on Wednesday said, Kelly, LOL, I'm too busy kicking myself and tearing up the uppers of my shoes. Get holes in the first week. Holy smokes. What are y'all doing to yourselves? Some violent runners. Positor2 said, would hiking with a weight vest or weighted backpack be worthwhile for training, especially on the hills? I have mixed feelings about weighted hiking. I don't know. It depends on your age. I think, you know, if you're older and I think there's a higher potential when you put weight on you for injury, depending on how much it is. Now, I don't know how much you're talking about. I think there's probably benefits to it. I think it's probably more beneficial to run hills than it would be to wear a weighted vest. I just think putting more weight on you just significantly adds more possibilities of you getting injured. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physical therapist. The funny thing is I did go to college originally for physical therapy before I dropped it and ended up becoming an IT specialist, software developer. Tim said, I use them on some of the more rugged trails. Frank says he uses poles a lot. I skipped way ahead. Tim said, I use them on some of the more rugged trails. Okay, yeah, there we go. Kelly said, Posner, I did many 20 mile plus hikes with brutal elevation carrying 20 pounds. Summit beer is heavy. Exactly. I think hiking is okay. I mean, I guess. I don't know. I wouldn't advise running with a weighted vest. I'm sure hiking could be okay, like you're hiking with a backpack. John said, my first race is a week from Saturday. And week on Saturday. Okay. I ran 26K tonight on the trails, so I'm a wee bit worried about how I will do, but I will finish. They don't stress about how you're going to do, because you know what? The hay's in the barn. Nothing you can do. Just go out and do your best. Start off slow and ease into it, and you'll be fine. Posner 2 said, Kelly, a backpack full of beer might have to start. Yeah, now, there's a significant difference between having a backpack full of beer and going in training and having a weighted backpack. So there's some benefits to that. You carry the beer to the summit, you drink it, and now you're lighter when you go down. See? Perfect. Kelly says, definitely motivating. Frank says he uses poles a lot. Okay, now I'm caught back up. So Frank can probably ask you your pole questions. Goku Runner said, my Vibram 5 fingers lasts more than 1,000 miles with the help of shoe goo. That's crazy. That's a lot. Kelly said, John M., what's the race? I'm sure you will kill it. Kelly said, I watched a video stating poles give an advantage, which is why some races ban them. I agree. I think they give an advantage. I mean, it is, you're allowed to transfer weight from your upper body to the ground instead of your legs taking it. I could see why it could be an issue, but I mean, you see them being used in, are they allowed in Western State 100? There are a lot of races that allow them, so I don't think it's so much an advantage that they should ban them. But they could do that for people for placing. Like, so if you're an elite and you're going to place in the money, I can see why they would say you can't use them. I mean, there are some races that say if you use a pacer, you can't qualify for top prize. So I don't have a problem with a race saying, hey, if you're an elite and you're hoping to place in the money, you probably don't want to use that equipment. But for all of us who are just trying to get through a race, I don't see what it matters. I mean, would you really care if some person placed ahead of you in an ultra? Like, hey, I came in 100th out of 200, and this person came in 99, but he used poles. That's not fair. Who cares? Arlene M. said, I grew up in Boulder, Colorado. The Appalachian Trail is harder than the Rockies, I think, except the altitude, which the rocks and roots. I've never run in Colorado. I think the altitude is the biggest rub there. And I think it's beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful on the Appalachian Trail too. They both have their own individual beauties to them. But I definitely think that running in the Appalachian Trail has some more difficulty to it than running a long gradual hill up a mountain. John said, poles are great for descending mountain trails. Takes a lot of strain off the knees. Yeah, that's definitely a good part of them, a benefit of them. Because can't wait to hear about it, John M. That sounds amazing. It does. He's going to have to share it with the groups. Let us know how you do. Arlene M. says, I have Lecky poles. Am I pronouncing that right? I find they keep my hands from swelling during a long distance. However, they make it very hard to take pictures or take out snacks or get gels for my vest. Yeah, so I was going to be purchasing some poles, like I said, months ago, and I couldn't figure out like the ones I wanted to get. I was more worried about them breaking. I've read reviews where people were saying like that they're breaking the tips off of them. The poles themselves were rattling and breaking. Again, because I'm not a small person. I'm going to be putting more weight on them. I need something that's a hefty pole that I don't want to have to spend like 150, 160 bucks every year for new poles. So I need to find a really sturdy, durable pole that will hold up to the weight I want to put on it. You know, it would be helpful in ultras, an escalator, or cardboard so you can slide down the hill on the rocks. That would be beneficial, like a sled or something. Get down a lot quicker. Kelly said, no, John, sadly, the hay isn't in the barn yet. That's Friday's job. 50 bills. Yeah, for Kelly, for you, the hay is not in the barn yet. But for, was it John? It's done. Frank said, poles are allowed in Western states. I thought they were. Excuse me. I just drank fluids down my lungs. Mike Z, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. Mike Z says, hi, off topic, random question. That always puts me at pause when I see that random question. I want to read your head before I say it out loud. He said, off topic, random question. I didn't notice, but do you have a video out on how to bounce back after your 3 weeks off? I'm on week 3 of being mandatory non-running reason. I don't know. I think I've talked about it. Maybe somebody else remembers. I put so much content out, it's hard to remember what I said in an actual video or if I've said it in a live stream. But I think it was a live stream where I talked about my 3 weeks off. Bouncing back, just like with everything in running, is just take it easy. You know, I was running 50-mile weeks when I took the time off. And then I think my first week I came back, I believe I ran 30. So I would just ease back into it. And if your reason is for an injury or something, even more of a reason to take it easy and to ease back into it. There's no reason to just start throwing mileage back on again. I would lessen the amount that you're going to run and just ease back into it. Again, nothing ever good comes from rushing things, so I would just take it easy. And I don't know if that answers your question. I know that I've talked about it in a live stream before. I probably waxed poetic. It was probably wonderful. Sorry, guys. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean, like for me, I took my time. I came back. I stretched. I foam rolled. I just didn't put a ton of mileage down. And you know, I've run. I think I've been back 3 weeks, and I've run probably 31, and like 35 or 36, something around there. I've not even got to 40 yet again, just because I'm taking it easy. Not that I couldn't. I think I could probably drop another 50 or 60 mile week down right now, but I'm just taking it easy because there was no reason to jump back too quickly. I think I used to remember the formula for how quickly you lose fitness by time period that you're off. And I think 3 weeks is not a significant amount of time. It's not like you need to start over again, but I definitely would just ease back into it. It's hard. It's, you know, for runners, it's hard to ease back into anything, but I would just take it easy. Mike Z said left off or back up a few weeks. Holy smokes. The drink got me. John said, hey, Arlene, I get that swelling finger thing as well. I thought it was just me. No, it's not you. I think most people it happens. It happens to me when I have my hands down too much. And Arlene, it's probably because you're keeping your hands more at a 90 degrees. So when you're running, there's multiple reasons. Your hands are down and the fluids are going to your hands. And then I think the rest of it has to do with kind of your sodium and fluid intake has a lot to do. There are some times where my hands will feel like baseball gloves in ultras. And typically, I'll put my hands up for a while like this and just try to get the fluids out of them. That helps. But I think carrying the poles helps us because you're keeping your hands at a 90. And I think the squeezing action helps keep the fluids out of them too. Frank said, or a car. Yeah, so we're just talking about like actual things that could help you. Ski lift. Exactly. Like, you know, the little J bars and the ski lifts, which just kind of helps pull you up the mountain a little bit. You just kind of sit on it and jog a little. That'd be fantastic. Mike Z says, but I was with the hope that the answer was continue where I left off. Well, I mean, the answer could be that. Like I always say, we're all an experiment of one. You could be super fit, and it not bother you at all. I always err on the side of caution when it comes to training. I don't think any of us make our living running, so I think, you know, there's no reason to push things too hard or to push them too quickly. Because to me, being off because of injury, because you did something dumb, is worse. Making a bad decision and not being able to run is worse than just taking off a week, easing back into it. So I would just ramp back up. I would back up maybe your training plan where you were like 3 weeks before that. I don't know. I don't know if you're in maintenance mode. I don't know. But I would probably start off with maybe 50% of what your mileage was for the first week and then gauge how you feel. Mike C said, sorry for fast typing, non-proofing, and then off-topic questions. You answered the question I didn't want that answer. Maybe. It's fine, man. I don't have a problem with you asking. I always have an open Q&A. It's never like, hey, you have to stick to the whatever to the title of the video is. I put the title there because that starts off a little bit of the conversation, and we have a little bit of that. Then I always have Q&A and just kind of a hangout. That's why I call it a hangout. This would be like the equivalent of us sitting around a room, having a beer, and just, you know, talking. That's how I view this live stream. It's just the people who view the subscribers and the people as part of the Motivation Theory Run Club. We're all just sitting around having a conversation. The only difference is I'm the one that has to talk the whole time, which sucks because I'm the one that has to talk the whole time. And the silence, even if the silence is like 4 seconds, I feel like I have to keep talking. And I feel sorry for you. You all have to listen to me the whole time, too. Frank says, you will definitely lose VO2 max in 3 weeks off. Threshold speed is where you notice you lose short-term fitness. Yeah, I did notice that when I got back into it. I did notice that was definitely, there was some loss there. But again, because I was easing back into it, you know, I'm 3 weeks later, I'm fine. I don't feel like I have lost anything. It's just, you take your time. Just take your time. There's no rush. You can't rush fitness. And, you know, if you're super close to a race, there's no reason to rush things. I mean, like right now, I'm 5 weeks out from the actual race day. And I'm going to be putting a couple weeks. I know over the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be doing back-to-back long runs. And I know once I hit that third week out, there's some definite potential that, you know, there's diminishing return if I try to do another long back-to-back long run, even 3 weeks out. I think that probably would be too soon, so I'll probably just do one long run and then kind of taper from that point, because there's nothing you're going to do that's going to be worth you risking injury or going into a race overtrained or sore. You're better going in undertrained and fresh than burnout and overtrained or injured. Kelly said, I learned in ice climbing to shake the bad blood out and the good blood in. Raise them over your head and shake, and lower them down and shake. You might look funny. Yeah, you look like you're dancing. So I would do races and I would do this. I would run and go like this in races and shake my arms out. I wouldn't do the back and forth. That would probably be better. I didn't know what I was doing. It just feels right. And you can almost feel, like you can feel the fluids. I'm just looking at myself now doing that. That looks awesome. Recycle on Wednesday said, I've got to go. Good chatting as always. See you next week. Take care of everyone. Yeah, Kelly said there's no such thing as off topic here. Absolutely. Everything is on the table here. Everything is allowed to be talked about. See ya, Recycle. Have a good week. Yeah, it feels super late in the week for me. It's been a fun week already. We had rain. I had one of my gutters overflow, so it kind of spilled over into the house a little bit. Got to get the gutters cleaned. My dog, when I got home today, had a tick on his, like, above his eye that I had to pull out, and I had to give him a bath. It's been a fun afternoon. And I keep having these baseball games that we get out to the baseball field and they get canceled because of rain. It's angering me. There, I feel better. I just vented a little bit. Arlene M said, a problem with poles is that you might stab or trip other runners, especially on single track trails. Well, Arlene, that sounds like a tactic, a strategy for getting ahead in the race, right? So we know what Arlene does now. She accidentally stabs and trips other runners with them. Hey, it happens. If you happen to finish 3 places ahead, and it happens. You have to remind me never to race with Arlene. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. John said, should that 26K I'm doing tonight maybe my last run before my race on the 29th? So what's today? 18th. Doing it tonight. I don't know why that has to be the last run. Oh, your last long run. Yeah, last long run, that should probably be your last long run. Sorry, I read that as your last run. Yeah, you can start your taper. Probably should have already started your taper. I don't know the distance. What's the distance you're running, John? I'm sorry. Mike Z said, as I say from day one, this is one great group of folks. It absolutely is. It's a great group. Frank's so not so hard that they can't be done on relatively little training, but too hard to run the whole thing. Absolutely. So I'm just reading through. Kelly said, Arlene, I've almost lost my eyes a few times with other people's poles. What are y'all doing with the poles? I've never heard about anybody having issues with the poles. They're supposed to be pointed down. Are you pointing them down when you run? Or are you running them with them like this? Down the trail. I would advise not to do that. Mike Z said, I want Arlene in front of me to clear the way. Just say, exactly. It sounds like we need Kelly and Arlene just out in front with the poles. And we'll be good. Well, we put one in the front, one in the back. Keeps people away from us. A 50K. Okay. Okay. You'll be good, John. You'll be good. Frank said, when you are carrying poles rather than planting them, carry them pointed forward so that you don't whack or stab someone behind you. Man, I've never run with poles, but it sounds like it's a dangerous affair. It's a lot of stabbing and whacking of people's faces and eyes. Arlene M said, Kelly, eyes? Kelly said, wait, running poles equals stabby sticks? Exactly. I just picture them running down the trail and next to somebody and just taking the pole and sticking it between their stride, and they eat it. Kelly went a whole different way with it. She's like stabbing people in the eye with it. Not only Not only taking them out of the race, but all future races. That's how you get rid of competition. Kelly said, Arlene, when they're in front of you on a steep trail, their poles as they kick backwards and level. Okay, I see what you're saying. Mike, see, great plan. That's funny. Yeah, so you're walking uphill, and as they're walking, they're stabbing them backwards. But you should be walking when you step. They should be with your step, and they should be going back down. I don't know. I don't know if I want to enter a race now with stabby sticks. Evidently, this is very easy to stab people. I don't want to get stabbed. Frank said they're good to have when you run into a range of cattle. John said I've stuck my friend's Achilles a few times with my poles. Frank said I haven't had the opportunity to use them against mountain lion. There's a whole world of violence and excitement with running with poles, evidently, that I've been missing out on. Well, that'll have to be a video. I'll try them. I'll run them and I'll use them in the 12-hour race if I'm allowed, and then we'll see what happens. They're going to say, John was, 15 people back. But all of a sudden, there was a lot of pole injuries that shot him straight up to top 5. Employing some of the strategies that I've learned in the Motivation Theory Run Club chat, it's going to be beneficial. Poser 2 said at Frank, I may need to get them just for that. I have to deal with a lot of cattle on the trails I run on. I've seen a lot of deer on the trails. I've never had cattle. And I've had fake bears that have almost attacked me too. And only those of you who have seen my running videos are going to get that one. Harley Nimsey, crossing rivers, you can catch fish absolutely out there fishing with the poles. Stabbing them like a spear. Kelly said, we have bears and moose here. I don't want them close enough to stab with poles. Yeah, if you have a moose, I think a moose is not going to be fazed by a pole. Moose is just going to trample you and stomp on you. Mickey, what's going on, Mickey? Good to see you. Just stopped by to say hi at work. Well, have fun at work. Well, as fun as work can be. Good to see you. This pole talk is the best. It is. It completely went a different way. We talked a little bit. Who started this? Was this you, Goku Runner, that started with the poles, and it just went sideways. Wheels fell off, and it's turned into a great conversation. That's so funny. We passed the hour. We did 71 minutes tonight. So I'm going to cut it off there. We'll give everybody the rest of the night. I'm going to run upstairs and take over baby duty. It's good talking to all of you. For those of you who have not caught up, I've released a bunch of videos here recently. I didn't release one today. I'm not releasing videos on the days that I streamed because it seems like they do very poorly for some reason. It's like YouTube's like, you already did a video. I'm not going to show them other videos. So I appreciate all that. So for those of you who have nothing to do, you can go view the videos after this one if you haven't caught up. Make sure you hit that thumbs up on this video. The dark Mickey, Mike said, "Hi Mickey, welcome to the Dark Pole Talk." Yeah, I've learned. Definitely you have to watch the replay because there's a lot of pole strategy to help increase your chances of placing higher in races. Goku Runner says, "Cheers, y'all. Got to get my jump rope." Yeah, so you can follow Goku Runner's doing a month of jump rope. Good luck with that. Jump rope's tough. Kelly said, "I'm dying here. So funny, If you pay for my race fees, I'm available to run." I need a run blocker. That's right, with stabby sticks. It's weird. Whenever John enters races, it seems to be a lot of pole injuries around him. Poser 2, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. As always, that's awesome. Thank you. Oh, you see it? Did it pop up on the tip jar? I always want to see that. Let me see. Oh, you see that it fell into the tip jar. Oh, that's so cool. Thank you, Poser2, for the tip. And now I got to get back to the screen. Here we go. Oh, Don was still in here? Yeah, talk to everybody next week. I mean, I'll go through the chats here. Make sure I get all of them. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to read to make sure I got all the chats. Yeah, so Positive 2 just kicked off the poll funds. It's like a GoFundMe for polls. I'm gonna need them. I need some extra sharp, stabby ones that are super sturdy for, you know, protection on the trails. I appreciate it, Positive 2. You rock. So what else? Do I have any other announcements? Again, if you're on Strava, join the Motivation Theory Run Club on Strava. I think we hit 151 members out there. And I got more videos coming this week, so get your eyeballs ready. More for you. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you next Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Bring your questions, bring your topics you want to talk about, and we will definitely cover them all. See you soon, everybody. Be safe and keep running. Keep running. Have a great weekend, everyone. Even though it's Tuesday, still have a good weekend. And if you're running near Kelly or Arlene on the trails and they have poles, bring a shield. Bring a shield. Thanks to Arlene, Frank, Goku Runner, John, Kelly, Mickey, Mike Z, Positive 2, Tim, West Virginia Running Don. You guys rock. If you stick around to the end, you always hear me hop back on.